mess. In the small room, plastic toys formed a network of obstacles across a threadbare carpet. "The boys are upstairs." "So, Eddie's still with you?" "That's right. He came round yesterday afternoon. He has been here with my Jack ever since." "Can we see him?" "I guess. He's been crying. He's not his usual self at all. In fact, he's not said anything since I called the police. Not a word." Clayton wondered whether he should have called Julie after all. She did have a way with kids. They responded to her touchy-feeliness. "He's usually as chatty as anything. Talks to himself all the time." "And what made you worried about Emma Dawson?" Becky Berry told him she took care of Eddie in return for the waitress taking her son to school every morning. "On weekends as well," Neil said. He looked up from his notebook. Neil on a new case was like a Labrador puppy. He looked ready to roll on the carpet with his legs in the air every time they had a lead. A missing person so soon after a murder in the same village had him almost barking. "Of course, she has to work weekends, but she's devoted to him. It's the first time she's not picked him up on time, even when she goes to the pub after." "So why did you wait until today before calling the police?" said Clayton. Becky was leaning heavily against the kitchen counter. "I called the hotel manager last night to find out where she was, but he said she hadn't turned up. He sounded more annoyed than worried. I thought there must be an explanation, and that she'd show up. Eddie bedded down with us last night, but when there was still no sign of her this morning, we got really worried." "Is Miss Dawson a reliable person?" "Very. I trust her with my life. They love her at the hotel. She gets lots of tips." "What about visitors, boyfriends?" "Emma came back to Glaveney after breaking up with her husband. She doesn't talk much about boyfriends and the like. She's quite private," she said. "I sometimes see the husband come to pick up Eddie." She paused. "But, yes, there's been this Frenchman skulking around for the past few days." "A Frenchman? Skulking?" Clayton stopped his note-taking. "How do you know he's French?" "I saw him myself. I was behind him in the queue at the bakery. There's no mistaking that accent." She straightened herself against the counter. "A bit of exotica, you might say. Makes a change in Glaveney." "Who is he, a customer from the hotel?" "I don't think so. Well, I don't actually know, but Eddie might." "Can we see him? It won't take long." Becky went upstairs slowly, holding tight to the banister and swaying slightly. She came down leading Eddie by the hand. He was a slight child with big eyes. His small face was puffy, the cheeks reddened and streaked with tears. "Hello, Eddie. We're going to find your mummy, don't you worry about that," said Clayton, patting him on the shoulder. Eddie gripped Becky's hand, his dark, cartoonish eyes staring up at Clayton. "Did you see her with anyone yesterday?" The boy looked up at Becky as though for approval. Becky squeezed his hand. "You can tell them. They're here to help." The boy screwed up his face, then turned away from them, clinging to the folds of Becky's jumper, his fists clenched. Clayton and Neil looked at each other. "It's all right, Eddie," said Clayton. "Can you just remember what time it was when you last saw your mum?" The boy squirmed but still said nothing. He put his thumb in his mouth and sucked in his cheeks. "Just try to remember," Clayton said gently. He definitely should have brought Julie. There were strict rules about interviewing children. "We know how much you love your mum. Were you out with her yesterday? Maybe walking on the marsh?" "How about Friday?" Neil said. "Did you go out trick-or-treating?" Becky answered. "Yes, they did, but they only went down our street. Eddie had a flashing lightsaber and a cloak. It was great, wasn't it? They were both tucked up in bed by 9. Well,